In this video I want to show you a little bit about the installation process and the web interface itself. And yeah, let's start. So this is my Linux server here. This is my slave DNS server, and it's acting as a slave DNS server for my primary web hosting server, which serves domains and websites. And this is also my server where I have installed this mail relaying over DNS tool. And at this moment it is already installed, but I want to show you how I did it and what steps I did do to install it. So the first thing I did, as I had installed the server, I started basically by installing Apache 2 and PHP. That's basically it. I installed the two programs, and after that I used the default configuration for Apache 2 here in this example. I will not make a deep dive here into Apache configuration. But yeah, this is mandatory if you want to run this tool, because you need the web interface to use mail relaying over DNS and to see what's happening. And all the other stuff which is going on in the background is also done by cron jobs of this software. So as this is a mail tool, and this tool is made for mail servers, we need to install Postfix. The software only works together with Postfix on a dedicated server. To mention that again, I have another video which explains more about the basic functionality and basic stuff, what the software is doing. You can find the link in the description to maybe you should watch it first if you want to use my software, and watch this video after you have watched the introduction. So yeah, I have now my server here. Apache 2 is installed, PHP is installed, Postfix is installed, and as you can find in the software's documentation here, here's an area where you can find the Postfix configuration which is needed to run this software. So after the installation of Postfix and stuff, I would go into the Postfix installation folder, and here we have a file which is called main.cf. Here is it. Inside this main.cf you see a few settings here which are on my instance now, and the settings are pretty much a copy of this here. I made some changes like maximum queue lifetime 1 day to give users a quicker response if their mail couldn't be delivered. So I have copied this configuration you can find in my documentation inside the Postfix main.cf file, and I've added my certificate I use with Let's Encrypt and a key file. You are free to generate your certificate with Let's Encrypt as well. I will not go into it in this video. But another thing I did was to add my host name for this email system, which is mail-sec.bugfishtm.de. And that's it. After I have made the changes, I did restart Postfix. And so the next step is to copy your the data out of the source directory from the repository into your web root directory. This would be HTML. I have installed my instance inside a subfolder which is called MRoD. So I have put my files into that subfolder from the installation, and as mentioned in the documentation for the installation procedure, I have made some changes to my file here for the setup. Most of the stuff can be left as it is because it's okay. If you use a default bind installation or a default Postfix installation, bind is of course optional, only if you want to fetch local domains into the software automatically without having to enter it. I have some of DNS domains on this system, so I can show you later what this means. So yeah, you can find more information about the settings here, which you can make inside this documentation here. It will explain everything, every single constant which you can set up. And yeah, so if you have finished doing this, you need to rename the settings.sample.php file to settings.php, and then you are good to go to the web interface, which will then look like that. You don't need to install any MySQL tables because they will all automatically be installed. Okay, then let me show you how this interface looks like. Now I am logged in, and as you can see, the web page is built really simple. At the top you have different navigation entries, items, and yeah, the first one is users, where you can manage some users. You can add new users to the system and give them some permission. You can change the password of users, and you can edit users. This is the initial users, which just have all privileges, so you cannot change something, but if you add a user, you would be able to change permissions. Just to mention it, all these permissions, they are not so these are global permissions. This website is not meant to make it possible for single users to manage their own domains or something. This is a global domain system. All users can see all domains. So and another important thing is that the software does not come with any email functionality. This means if you lose your password, the only way to restore it is to write a new password into the database, or to delete the user's database, because as you know, the database, the tables will be automatically installed, and if you delete the user's table, then it will be automatically installed again on the next run with the initial settings, username admin and password change me. So be sure to not lose your password to this interface, because it will make a bit of trouble. So that's it about the users area. This is the domains area, where you can see domains which have been set up into the system. You can see the domain name of the domain which is registered. You can see the relay. So if an incoming email is assigned to this domain and is stored on this server, because the primary server is offline, so it will be forwarded to this server. This emails incoming for this will go to this server here. At the info panel, we can see some, so if you click on info at a domain, you can see some information about this domain. Determined auto DNS domain is mostly the domain itself with a port you can set up in the settings file. And the important thing here is final used relay domain. This is the domain which will be used if you don't have overwritten it. So we have, yeah, delete, you can delete a domain. This would not make sense here because these are auto-fetch domains, which has been fetched locally from my DNS instance. And if I would delete them, they would just be auto-fetched again on the next cron job run. If I edit a domain, I can choose a relay server. I can not choose one yet because I have none set up. But yeah, I have a domain here. I could overwrite relay host and port. So if I write something in here, I can choose SMTPS or SMTP. Then I can overwrite the relay server for this, even for auto-fetch domains, and I can remove this, that auto-fetching functionality is again like before. I can add new domains. And yeah, that's it. We have a relay section where we can add relay servers. So we are able to add relay servers here for email, and then you could you would be able to assign them to domains. Another special thing about this relays is that if you have a domain, so if you have this set up and you want to use this backup functionality with a domain, you need, of course, set this MX server up as a secondary MX server in your domain settings at your provider. So if you go to your provider in your domain setup, you have an MX entry there for your primary mail server, where the user is getting their mails from. So where the email inboxes are and stuff like that. So you need to enter a DNS record type MX with higher priority. So higher priority in MX means lower priority. So if your primary server has priority 10 in the DNS entries, you could add this server with priority 25, for example. And yeah, then if the first server is offline, emails would be sent to this server that they can be handled. And you can make TXT entries for domains. And this here, this relay, shows you an TXT entry which you can make to assign domains automatically to a relay. So you have relay ID 1. You could here add this TXT entry to your domain, and the system would know, okay, here's a TXT entry on this domain, and I will transfer emails to this relay server, which is set up here, resource name and port. The cron job will run in a period of time you have set up. Is it mandatory to run cron job sync.php? And in this area you can see the log file of the cron job. The newest one is always at the top, and you can see what the cron job did and what the cron job found, or maybe not. So this is the best section to search for errors if you have something. Here I can see domains which have been auto-fetched from my local DNS HTTP instance, which is another of my DNS softwares, but this is not this video is about. So yeah, here's all the stuff the cron job did done and what has been fetched. If you need any information about that, you can find it here. We have the block list where blocked IPs are listed. So we have a debugging area. You can ignore that. That has only been for development, and if you have errors, you can take a look at it. It should be empty. But basically you can ignore that area. You have a profile area where you can change your own password. Nothing special. And yeah, that's it. That's the interface and everything about it. Maybe to mention a few other things, all the stuff in the background which has been done is done by the cron job sync.php. So this cron job is mandatory for using that software, and the functionality to fetch entries from a local DNS server. If the same server would serve as a DNS server on your side, then you need to set it up on the settings.php. I will not explain every single setting of the settings.php now, because it's all in the documentary, and you can all find explanations around the file and in the file itself. But yeah, so sync.php is mandatory and doing all the background work stuff. And the other cron job we have is daily.php, which is only here to reset the block list. So this is optional, and you can use it if you need it. I have set mine up to I think 1 a week, only to get sure that I will never be blocked out of my own system here. And yeah, so that's it.